going on, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the East Coast Browncast. In today's episode, we got a lot going on in the NBA. We just did a pod not too long ago, but in that short amount of time, a lot of shit has happened. And, we've got some players coming back stronger than ever. We've got some players starting to fall off. And this goes the same for some teams as well. So, is there any impact players that you guys can think of right now off the top of your head that we should talk about in this pod?
I mean, I can easily think of one, and that is my boy Donovan Mitchell, D-Wade 2.0. I love this guy. And
D
he's
Wade
uh,
2.0.
hey, even D-Wade himself said it, man. You didn't hear when he was on TNT, but anyways, Donovan Mitchell has been in like the pickup of the season. Like, when the trades happen, like I can't believe the New York Knicks passed on Donovan Mitchell, but that's a whole nother topic. But the Cavs won big time with this trade because Donovan Mitchell just took Cavs to a whole nother level. And it's felt from, Darius Garland all the way up to like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Like he is really involving the entire team. There's no problems with like usage rates. Like, the ball's being shared by everyone. Everyone's doing incredible. Donovan Mitchell is actually being really efficient on the court. I think, and it's because of his teammates. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They're great screen setters, giving them wide open looks. Darius Garland has become like a really good passer this season. And it's just like I would credit a lot of that to Donovan Mitchell's leadership and his just talent, and you could see it with the Cavs being at their seed right now.
The crazy part about it is that last season, everyone kind of wrote him off. He went from being the season prior to last season to being considered like a top 15 player to kind of falling off. He had a ton of critique, especially with him just looking to score really more than facilitate the ball, namely to Rudy, which I mean could be understandable. But like the type of shots he was taking weren't really the best shots. They were kind of selfish shots. And the amount of critique he got is just crazy considering that he changed that completely about his game. And I don't know if it's because it's on the Cavs, the coaching, or he just kind of flipped a switch in his mentality as a player. But he's been a huge impact player and arguably like one of the best starting lineups out there. And I don't know what the switch was that he
They're
just
number one defensively right now, which is crazy for a
that's
backcourt.
insane. That ooh.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. A lot of people wrote off his defense. I feel like the last 2 3 years,
Yeah, 100%.
because like his rookie year, sophomore year, like he was known as like D-Wade 2.0 because he was a great defender and he was a great finisher at the rim. But he's doing everything right now, and he's keeping his teammates involved, which is great.
I'll take it like a little step further. I think he's D-Wade 2.0 with a jump shot. Like he he
Hey,
could
D-Wade had a jump shot. Come on,
he cannot shoot he cannot shoot a three the way Donovan Mitchell shoots a three. No way.
Yeah, sure.
I,
I'll give you that. But I don't think in like D Wade's prime, like 3-pointer or shooting wasn't like, a primary focus at that time. But yeah.
I understand, but he's still a better shooter than D-Wade. But no, yeah, I agree with Narf. Like I was one of the people who said that I like the Cavs. I like the lineup that they have, like the whole like 13, 14 man squad that they have. I was just skeptical about their backcourt defense, but they like proved me wrong. They've been literally amazing. And like Narf said, like Donovan Mitchell's like leadership, like he like and on the top of like, the usage rates, like no one cares. Like the other day, like I have Jared Allen on my fantasy. That one night he gave me like he dropped like 29 and like 15 boards. The other night he dropped like 9 and 8 boards. But they both nights they won like by margin. So like that's the thing. Like no one cares. Like everybody's main focus is trying to win, and I think they could be a good competitor in the East. Like they like I know it was early season, but they beat Boston in like 2 good games. I think they beat Boston twice, right? I could be wrong.
Yeah, they
I
beat
think
them
they beat
twice in
They
overtime.
beat Boston twice.
In overtime,
exactly. So
overtime. Whoa,
yeah,
whoa,
so
whoa,
that's
whoa,
like
whoa, whoa,
yeah,
whoa, whoa,
in
whoa.
overtime, but still, hey, a loss
Calm
is a
down.
loss.
It's not a
Loss is a
big deal.
loss. But no, but
Hey
Damn.
man, a
like
loss is a loss, but
that speaks to how good this team is. Like I personally believe Celtics are probably the team to beat.
oh yeah, for
So I
sure.
think I have them as like my championship favorites. So they beat them twice, even though it's in overtime. Like that means that shows you like okay, like because Boston's a big team, like they're tough team. So if you could go in overtime with a tough team like that and then still come out as a win, I think that speaks more volume than just getting a dub, like a like
I'll,
normal 2 wins over them. Personally,
no, that's a fair point. I'll be honest about this Cavs team. They're one fucking scary team, man. Like 1 through 5, they honestly have like the scariest team that I can think of. And I'm a Celtics fan, but I get intimidated by the Cavs. Like they're 1 through 5, man. We've got Garland, Mitchell. I mean, Levert is probably the weakest link there, and then Mobley and Jared Allen. But what really stood out was the way that Donovan Mitchell just took over the game. That second game that the Celtics played against the Cavs, nobody could stop him. And he was just hitting tough jumpers after tough jumpers. He was knocking the ball loose. He was really handsy with Tatum. And it was, it was crazy to see like that this is the same player that everyone like you kind of wrote off. I mean, he wasn't really considered a high defensive level player. I mean, he is 6'1", which is very undersized for a guard, especially a 2 guard. But he has the wingspan. He's got a 6'10" wingspan, and with a 6'10" wingspan, you can do a lot with that. And I think Mitchell's putting that to use now, especially now on the Cavs.
One thing that you mentioned is they have a really good 1 through 5, but they also have a good bench too. We always forget about Kevin Love. Kevin Love still plays at a very high level. Like, 20 minutes off the bench, even like he will perform. He will get his teammates involved. Like people forget he was an all-star talent, and he still has that basketball IQ. Then there's Chetty Osman, and then there's like Isaac Okoro. Like they have a lot of talent on that team, and if one team can really compete and like be a threat to the Celtics, I think it's the Cavs for sure.
Agreed, man. I really don't want to play them in the playoffs. I'm hoping somebody can take them out for us.
bro,
That's gonna
that's
be one
crazy.
stressful series.
They're one of the least like I'll say fifth, sixth option is Karis LeVert, and honestly, I would have. There's probably like 29 or like 28 teams in the league. I would have Karis LeVert as like a role player, and then that shows how good this team is. Like it's crazy. Then again, Kevin Love. Kevin Love is really underrated. Honestly, like what he
He's
did for
so
the Cavs,
underrated.
and then that in that finals run, like he actually like defended like the last play. Who defended? Who was on Curry? That was Kevin Love. Like
Okay, let's not get too
he,
crazy. That's not the same Kevin Love. But
Yeah,
but he's not the same Kevin Love, but he's still like a smart player. Like
yeah, I give
like
that to you. He's a high IQ player. I'll give that to you, but let's not get too crazy.
he's a high IQ veteran, and he's been on a championship team, and he like they there's always that saying like, oh, it's good to have veterans on the squad like that. Like Udonis Haslam, like who was it? I don't know if you could use Jared Dudley as an example for the 2020
Dudley,
Lakers, but like stuff like that. Like it's good to have like a veteran presence. So yeah, Cavs are scary.
that's fair.
on the
I mean,
other end of the spectrum, though, I'm sorry, cut you off, Ray. Do you want to continue?
no, you're good. Go ahead.
Now, I was thinking about the Pelicans, though. On the other end, they're what, number one seed in the Western Conference right now, which is insane. And I think we could all credit that to Zion Williamson. What do you think?
Honestly, man, this Pelicans team is like they're a unique team, man. Like they've had so many I guess, injuries, but they're still sustaining excellence. Like Brendan Ingram has been out the last few weeks. CJ was sick for a little bit, and really, that's the only time that Zion's really been healthy this season, other than the first few games. And he's taken over, man. There's this one picture of him doing like a crazy dunk,
That
and
360 windmill?
no, not that one.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
it's a picture. It was against your team, the Raptors, and all five Raptors are standing there watching him. It was a really sick picture. But to kind of go off of what you were just saying about that 360 dunk that he did at the end of the game, I love
Yeah.
that, man. This Pelicans team has an edge to them. You know, Zion was pissed off that his team lost to the Suns last year. He wasn't even playing. I love that edge, man. And I think that this Pelicans team has, we talk about heat culture a lot. I think this Pelicans team is starting to develop that culture where they actually care about winning basketball. And that's not really something that we saw from, previous teams that the Pelicans had. I think this team is different. I mean, we got Jose Alvarado pushing up, disrupting momentum every single game. Like he picks up full court. We don't really have a player that does that. This is definitely a very edgy team, and I love it.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, the Pelicans are just crazy because it's crazy to me because I remember I don't know if it was last year or like the year before that. It was during COVID for sure. Like it's when CJ McCollum got traded to the Pelicans, and that's when Zion was injured. Like rumors were going around like, oh, is Zion overweight? Like should he like cut down? Like, oh, is Zion ever going to be healthy? Like comparisons between Ja and Zion, and Ja has been like much better than Zion so far. And then CJ McCollum got traded, and it was like the interview with CJ McCollum, and this like a week and a half, 2 weeks after like he got traded, and they asked him, "Oh, CJ, have you talked to Zion?" And he's like, "Oh no, not yet." Like like going from there to where they are right now is just it's crazy. And on top of that, like I think yeah, the trade what they made for with the Anthony Davis trade back in 2019. Yeah, like you could say the Lakers won that trade because it ended up with the championship, and it could potentially end up with more championships if they trade Russ, but that's a different story. But yeah, no, I think the Pelicans actually won because, dude, this seems scary. Like going into the future, they have a really good core. I just feel like Zion's just getting better and better, proving the haters wrong. And then, bro, that 360 windmill, that shit was
That was a statement for sure. Like that was
that
like,
was
no, we on the
crazy.
map. Like they put the league on notice of that, and I think like Chris Paul and like all of them got real mad about that.
Yeah, but like yeah, like
Yo,
yo, can
fuck
we
the
cuss in
Suns though.
this?
I'm
Okay,
sorry, I have to
every
I have to
time
All
you
my
admit,
say
homies
this,
hate the Suns.
fuck the sun. But
Hey,
I
yo.
was like,
I'm so
I was
glad you did
literally,
that to the Suns of all teams.
bro. Do you know what pissed me off the most about that? Because Cameron Payne walking up like he was the shit. Like, bro, get
Like,
your ass back, bro.
Bro,
I
Bro,
hate
and
the
like,
Suns,
how
man.
are they
I
gonna
hate
be
the
mad
Suns.
when Chris Paul tried to score with like the game basically being over? Like,
Hey, 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 Aray, I told you. I said what I said about the Suns.
you
All
dog.
the
did.
Suns
You
are,
did. Respect.
all the Suns are is Devin Booker and just overglorified role players. That's all they are. That's
You,
all.
you know what's
Their window's gone.
you know what's
So
crazy?
sorry to cut you off, Narf.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
I was just piggybacking off what you said. Ever since that you said that, their last two games was that where they lost to the Pelicans and where they were down almost 50 points to the Celtics. So, man, you really let everyone know.
Yeah.
You're right.
So AJ got the prophecy. So AJ, can you please say the Celtics are going to fall off a cliff now?
Yo, wait.
Oh
Hold
man,
up.
that's
Don't.
Celtics.
Uh,
Celtics are scary. Celtics
yes,
are a
sir.
scary team.
Yo, say something
That
negative about him so it
those,
comes true.
man, those. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like,
yeah,
and
I gotta say too.
you don't even know between Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown like who's gonna go off that night.
Yeah, dude.
And then yeah, go on.
No, I just find it interesting that what do you call it? You guys were talking about how Cameron Payne, like, came up all heavy and stuff. I find it interesting that literally everyone got up off the Suns bench. Not a single person went up to Zion himself. I'm like, you're really gonna act all hard in front of everyone else that isn't him. Like, Yeah, man, they're full
Bro,
of
I
shit.
didn't even notice that. You're right. They didn't even go to that. They went up to the coaches, bro. Like what the fuck? Like
Bro,
they go to the coach, homie.
bro.
Like
Dude, I don't know. Like
oh yeah.
I always found that tradition really dumb. Like, oh, why is it everyone have such a problem with like
They're
scoring
just
garbage?
salty. They're just salty that they
They're just
lost.
salty. Their window's gone. I just personally feel like their window's gone.
Who started this like unwritten rule of not being able to score in the final seconds?
I
Like,
don't know, man. I think it's dumb. I saw a tweet about that, and it's like I want to see beef in the NBA, man. I want to see them hating on other
Oh,
teams.
fact. Where yeah,
I
exactly. Where's
would
that?
love that,
Where's
man.
that intensity?
Play to the
Yeah,
end of the whistle, man. Where is
yeah,
that?
dude.
shit.
Yeah,
I'm a
The
troll.
the
I would definitely do that every game if I had the chance.
the funniest one. I don't know if you guys remember back when Lance Stevens did it on DeMar DeRozan.
bro. Remember that? That was a
Yeah.
sick picture,
That
bro.
shit was hilarious. There was a picture on it too. I remember there was a picture on it.
Bro, I gotta
Oh
find it,
man,
but I remember that picture. Like
dude.
it was, what is it? PJ Tucker and like DeMar DeRozan all up in Lance Stevenson's face, like with extreme like animosity. I was, I was feeling
Oh
that one.
yeah.
I miss that dude
Oh
in
yeah,
the
PJ Tucker was there too. I remember.
Oh,
Hey,
man,
shout out PJ Tucker, man.
dude,
What do you mean, bro? He's washed now, bro.
that guy is the literal
He's
manifestation of 3 and D.
he's washed
I,
now,
I mean,
but it
dude,
is pro. But he did help a lot of teams out. Like he helped the Bucks out that 1 year when they won. So shout
that's a
out
fair
PJ
point,
Tucker.
man. Bro, man, it sucks because like the Sixers gave him such a huge contract, but he's like at one point he went on a stretch where he got 0 points in like maybe 5 straight games. So
Yeah, he's not what he once was. He's pretty old too.
yeah,
He got into the league pretty late, and I mean, so not really his fault, but he was a good player. He did really good against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Final. Yeah, Eastern Conference Finals last year. He did pretty good. He had a lot of quarter threes.
Yeah, basically,
But
I think he was a leader for that shit. So
yeah, no, he's good for the yeah. He just took a dip this season. I don't know why.
you
because he
know who
got
else,
paid, bro.
bro? You know who
My
else took a
fault.
dip, but not really?
Who?
AD.
What? No,
he,
AD.
he took
Yeah,
a
he took a bit of a dip, but then he turned it around recently. Do you really think like do you really think like the Lakers can turn it around? Like I'm just not convinced.
It's just I think no. I mean he's still balling out. Like
well, okay. So
I just think that I'm sorry. I just need to say this.
yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
think they need a trade. They need to make that trade. The Pacers trade. They just need to go for it. I'm sorry, Russell Westbrook has been doing good, but they need to make that trade. They do not have shooters. It's not even Russell Westbrook's fault right now. Like if they were smart, if they wanted to keep Russell, they should have signed shooters, not Lonnie Walker, not fucking. I guess none. He was already signed, and he did good with the Heat, so we can't really blame the Lakers for none. He's just not panning out. Who's that dude from the Warriors? Juan Toscano Anderson,
Oh
like
yeah, he
bro,
got hurt. Yeah,
way
garbage.
step aside. Even if he didn't get hurt, bro, like only reason he's known is because he had that one crazy dunk on Devin Wiki. Besides that, he just like literally shit.
No, he was a good role
But
player. I think
I
I'm
mean,
not
yeah, but I don't know.
like,
No,
Um,
he's a good role player if you have shooters. But yeah, no, they should have made that. They need to make that trade with the Pacers.
let me
That's
put
all I'm
this
gonna
into
say.
perspective for you because you were talking about who they signed this offseason. They got Pat Beverly, who I mean he's all right. He's a pretty good shooter. But he hasn't been really
He's
working out
doing
for
ass.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got Lonnie Walker, Dennis Schroeder, Damian Jones, Thomas Bryant, Troy Brown Jr., and
Real,
Juan
real,
Toscano Anderson. That's who they got this year,
real,
man.
real talk. Uh, I can't even complain about Lonnie Walker because Lonnie Walker's been balling. Like he's literally, I think he dropped 20 plus points almost like 3/4 of the games. So like you can't even like yeah, like he can't shoot, but he's a good player. Like they should just got shooters. That's it. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you're good. My point was just like, what are the Lakers doing, man? Like, these are the players that they're gonna sign and expect to compete. Like we know they have like such great talent with AD and LeBron, but it just doesn't feel like their heads really in the game. Like they're such a weird roller coaster of a ride of a team. Like they start off what 0-5, 0-6 before finally winning their first game. And everybody was like, all right, this team is not going to make the playoffs, especially when in the beginning of the season, they're like, all right, this team could actually work.
They
Now,
still not making the playoffs.
I don't know, man. It's weird because then we got that huge AD stretch, and now it was almost like, all right, the play-in tournament is definitely a possibility. I mean, they
Honestly,
were
it was 2 games. Like it's a reach to call it a stretch. He scored 44 points one game against the Bucks. Huge is against the Bucks. Was Giannis playing that day? I'm not really sure, but
He was.
he was okay.
Yeah.
But and then the other game was against the Wizards. He dropped 55. But what happened after that? Day-to-day Davis came
yeah, he
along.
got 1 point,
Man, he
but
got the flu, man. He
like
got the
8
flu.
that's
He
the
can't really
illness,
play.
man. Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta give
that's
him
the
a pass
illness.
for
He,
that.
he he didn't get hurt.
All right, and then what
body's
happened
fine.
against Philly? I mean, he was going off. I'm not gonna, knock him for it, but like they ended up
He
losing.
still,
They blew it. Like they came
but
so close.
he didn't blow it. Like basically what I'm saying is like it's not like it's not the. I don't blame LeBron or AD whatsoever. Like I think it's
Oh well, yeah, of course it's
management.
not their fault, but their
They
hands
need
are kind of tied. Like they can't do much.
exactly. But so they're hooping. Like he's still like yeah he had a 2 day stretch of averaging what like 45. He dropped like 44 and like 50, so like 49. But then he's still been dropping like 30 plus every other game he played. Like they just need to pull the plug on like Russ. Just send him to the
I don't think
Pacers, bro.
you can't expect much from Russ. I don't think there's anything that they can do besides like a trade, and even then, that's like it sounds impossible given their situation. Like no matter what trade they do, they're gonna be on the losing end just because they're so desperate, and everyone knows that. And like the only thing that they have that they can do is like they can make a push, and like AD can continue playing at the 5, and I think that's why he's doing so great is because he's finally accepting that he has to play the 5 in order for the Lakers to succeed. But not only that, Russell Westbrook's on the bench, and like if all things go well, like if everyone remains healthy, AD continues playing at this high tier level, Lakers have a shot at playoff. But anything more than that, it's highly unlikely. And for any change to happen, that also seems very unlikely. I think Lakers are just a very static topic where it's not like it's just it's gonna be the same thing every single time we talk about them. Can they stay healthy? Can they do a trade? Are they a playoff contention team? I don't know. Like,
They could definitely make a push for a play in,
but no
and
one cares
maybe
about
if
a playing team, man.
no okay, but the play teams can pan out sometimes. Like
Uh,
like like think about it this way. Back when Kobe tore his Achilles, they were that season they were 17-25. People were writing them off at the playoffs. There was a 17 that season. Kobe just did Kobe. And I feel like the Lakers team now is better than the Lakers team back then. So I think they could do it in a sense. And now they're the play in too. And then basically the reason I said that is if Kobe never tore his Achilles, I think in that playoff, I think the Lakers could have won the championship because that stretch, I think from January till the playoff, that stretch, Lakers were the best team in the league. From January to the playoff, that whole stretch.
bro, you're talking about Kobe and AD, man. It's two different teams.
But LeBron on it. LeBron. I'm not talking about AD. LeBron on it too. Like that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if if they could make a trade, get shooters,
Bro,
and make a
no
stretch,
way they can
that's
make a
all.
trade. It doesn't.
They could make a trade. There's so many trades on the table. They just don't want to give up their second round picks. I don't know why. 80 is gonna 80. I feel like
Because even with
he's
a
it.
trade, at best, you're going to get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, and that's still
A
not going
buddy
to.
who's a shooter, Miles Turner's a shooter, and a big too. They both good players, really good players. I it, it, it doesn't even have to be rough. Just package someone else, and it doesn't even have to be to the Pacers. Just get shooters. Like imagine a team with Russ, LeBron, AD, Austin Reeves, and shooters. around
All
them.
right.
That's a championship team right there.
That's not
Austin
a
Reeves is the
championship
baller.
team. I'm gonna tell you why it's not a championship team. All right, and you're gonna love this because you're talking about Kobe. You're bringing up Kobe, but you know when was Kobe at his best? I think it was when he was with Shaq, right?
No, I
And
think Kobe would no. Kobe
no,
was
no,
at
like
his best.
when was like the Lakers team at its best with Kobe, right? Like when Kobe and Shaq were together, like they were like the team, and like that's the most iconic Lakers team in my opinion. Like during the Kobe era.
No, yeah, okay,
True.
I agree. I mean, no, dude,
And
if
and and
if they
considering how
three-peated
good
it,
that Kobe and Shaq team was, you know who's at their level right now? Brown and Tatum.
yeah, exactly.
Aray, to tell us a stat, please.
All right, man.
Yeah, let's transition, bro.
So in our group chat, I decided to throw out this random stat. And this statistic is wild. It's not. There's no implications. I mean, I'm not trying to make that implication before I get roasted. But Kobe and Shaq in their primes, 2002, 2003 season, they averaged 57.5 points per game. Well, now in this day and age, this modern era, so far into the 2022-2023 season, my boys Tatum and Brown are averaging the same 57.5 points per game. So I decided to pitch that stat into our group chat just to kind of, get the ball rolling for some conversation. And I guess we're gonna end that conversation here.
Bro, I could tell Aray's like smiling while
I'm
saying the
cheesing,
whole
bro.
time. Like
I
he's
love that this is
cheesing
a
right now.
conversation, man. I love that this is a conversation. But hey, man, is Tatum and Brown right now, are they at Shaq and Kobe's level? Or are they at least comparable?
I mean, stats say they are. I mean, it doesn't say anywhere in like the rule books or the thing where it has to be a big and a guard. Like, and think about it, dude. How like you had to give to Jalen and Jason how Kobe and Shaq. Think about it, Kobe. I think Kobe's a top 3 player, and just think how dominant Shaq was. And 2 guards are doing that. That's just crazy.
All right, they're not 2 guards, they're 2 wings.
2 wings, two wings. More, I think I
Brown's a
would put
guard and Tatum's a
Brown
wing.
the guard. Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say that. Brown the guard and Tatum the wing.
I just want
I don't
to
know,
say
man.
one thing to end this conversation like all together because it's such a stupid stat to bring up because you want to know something, Aray? Do you know
What?
what the NBA average is right now for per game, like points per game?
No, what is
It's
it?
I'll answer it for you. It's 113. Do you want to know what it was in 2002, 2003?
Let me hear it.
95.1. So like
Okay.
there's a huge discrepancy, almost 20 points per game discrepancy. So they were scoring at that level when the defense of the league was much tougher. You know, like you could protect people. Like now it's like everything is a foul. So I don't want to even hear this debate. This is or not debate, but
Let
this
me can I counter that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, my fault, AJ. But so back then the league wasn't as didn't have as much depth as it does today. I mean, we didn't really have Michael Jordan. He was on the Washington team at that time. There was no LeBron. Nowadays, there's so much talent in this league that the defense is at a higher level. So even though they might be scoring more points per game, I think it really has to reflect on the league being better on offense and just having more talent than at the time of 2002. And that's just facts.
I disagree because around like 2012 or 2011? No, 2012. I want to say around 2012. The defensive rules of the league changed drastically, and that's when we also seen a trend of like the points average is also increasing.
Can I hop in on this too?
Sure, go for it.
I disagree with Aray too because, bro, the era from like 1998 to like 2012, I would say that era was crazy, hella competitive. You had so many Hall of Famers are played in that era. Think about it. Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Jason Kidd, Dirk Nowitzki, Kobe, Shaq, Wade, LeBron, Carmelo. I'm just like I can keep on going. Like there's more talent spread out. There's more average talent that there is back then but the stardom talent back then is not compared
Okay,
by today.
so
I personally believe that.
I get what you're saying, but my whole point was there's more depth in the league. And also, if we're talking about the peak year of Kobe and Shaq, that was 2002, before we got D Wade and Melo and LeBron in the league. But yeah, I mean, we also
Yeah,
got a
but
lot
that
of
was just with like, yeah, go ahead.
we got like a ton of Hall of Famers right now that are in the league. I mean, Giannis and Luca
Mm.
are, I mean,
Oh
those
yeah, yeah,
guys,
yeah. I mean,
No,
those
you
guys
can't say
are
Luka's a Hall of Famer
I
until
don't think
he
that's a strong
finishes.
argument, but going back to what you said, Aray, about there's more depth in the league. So I just want to say one thing about that. Even though there's more depth in the league, that just means that there's more options for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to pass, and like
exactly.
that means less defensive pressure on them because the entire five-man, all the five players are a threat to score. So that means everyone gets, not, I wouldn't say equal defensive pressure, but Tatum and Brown aren't going to be as focused heavy as when Kobe and Shaq were on the court.
And
Kobe
yeah,
had to go
exactly.
against double teams, triple teams, and he's killing them. And Shaq, he
Cole,
was bodying the center, the power forward, and like finishing at the rim. So
no, I'll add on to that. No, like, yeah, Kobe, I think personally is the best, the greatest. He's a goat for the most like tough shots. He's the greatest tough shot maker of all time. Even above
He also
Michael
has the
Jordan.
most
Michael,
misses.
I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Bro,
So
what's that to do with anything? He has the most
that has to
misses
do with it.
ever
Yeah.
in NBA history.
So
That means he's also missed the most difficult shots ever.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
He's still
does.
good.
He wasn't really
Uh-huh.
efficient. So going back to what Narf was saying, that's one way to look at it, that they have less of pressure on them. But another way to look at it is they're not taking as many shots as Kobe and Shaq did. Kobe and Shaq shot more shots than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did. I'm sure that this might not even be a debate. Meaning, like, if there wasn't as much depth in the league, it's possible that Brown and Tatum could shoot more shots, which they could average even higher points per game. So I mean, we're
Okay.
looking at it two different ways, but I mean,
Okay.
we don't know.
Real talk. Real talk. The game is so much different back then. Look at what Steph Curry has done to the game. Every team has a wing stretch five type style of play. Like everybody's on the wing. Like the paint is literally open majority of times of the play. Back then, that's not how they played. That's how they played. Like so, it was a lot more compact, a lot more congested in the paint, and Kobe was scoring a lot in like closer to the rim than closer to the three. And so and then another thing is, look, if you put Kobe in today's game and with his work ethic and like just like
he definitely have it adapted.
how good he is,
Maybe, but
he would have been
I don't
breaking
think
records right now.
I don't
Man,
He
think
would
he
have
would be
been
putting up.
conversation,
I don't
man.
think he would
I
be
don't know,
putting
like
up the same
I don't even
numbers,
know if it's
man.
a conversation. Like,
I don't think he would
dude,
be putting
like
up the same numbers. I think he'd be
I
putting
think
up
yeah,
worse
he
numbers.
wouldn't be putting up the same numbers. He was putting up better numbers.
No, he would
That's
be
what I'm
putting
trying
up
to
worse
say.
numbers, man.
No,
I don't
better
agree.
numbers. No,
I don't agree,
Kobe.
man.
No, Kobe is no, no. You could just see them.
What do you mean?
No,
All right,
this dude is comparing Jason Tatum to Kobe.
I'm not saying that they're better. I'm just saying it's an
People,
argument.
people at home. This guy is comparing Jason Tatum, the guy who shot 26% from the field in the
how
finals
much did
with
Kobe score in his final game?
against
This
with
era?
Kobe Bryant, five-time champion,
Oh,
five-time
that's because he
champion.
took all the shots, man. Come on,
Don't matter,
that's a dumb argument.
five-time champion. You don't think Kobe's great?
No, no, he's dead. No play.
Yo, what the
Oh, what
fuck?
is wrong with you?
Yo, this dude.
Oh.
Oh, man, sorry.
I'm done talking.
Buffalo.
Oh man, no. But honestly speaking, man, when there's more depth in the league, you can't expect high scoring from like one single player. So I think if Kobe was in this era, if he was a youngin in this era, I don't think that he would be putting up the same numbers. Like I think he would be putting up less numbers. Again, like that team that Kobe played on only had three players averaging above 10 points per game. The Celtics right now have like six, I think I think 4 or 5 players shooting above, getting more than 10
less
points per
defensive
game.
pressure on Tatum so that's why he can take easier shots.
Bro,
I don't
think
know,
about it.
man.
Kobe is the best tough shot maker in the league. So imagine if he had help. Imagine how easy the shots. If a dude's the best tough shot maker ever in the NBA history, imagine easy shots for him. That's all I'm saying. And on top of that, like, come on, man. Like, if like Kobe does anything to win, like in the NBA Finals, 2010 Game 7, he did shot ass, but he had 17 rebounds, 17 or 18, something like that. Like, he'll do whatever is needed for him to win. So even like in this era, even if it wasn't with scoring, I think Kobe would have been a better player than Jason Tatum.
Okay, so hold on. Let me just say a couple of quick things about the Celtics team regarding Tatum and Brown and why like this might help in this argument, and then yeah, we'll figure it out from there. But anyways, all right. So this is a historically good offensive team. Like no one's ever averaged this much points ever before, 120 points per game. This is historic, and leading that charge is none other than Tatum and Brown. And it makes sense because they're putting up such high numbers that it makes sense for them to be considered in this conversation because it kind of the same argument when it comes to MVP. You look at a team, you look at a player who's on the best team or one of the best teams. You don't really look at who's technically the most valuable player, but this is just what goes into MVP voting. You know what I mean? So Tatum being the highest scorer on the highest scoring offensive team in NBA history, I think that matters, and that's why I think that Tatum should be a part of this conversation at the very least. Tatum and Brown. You know what I mean?
I think they should be part of the conversation because it is a statistic that is crazy. That like I'll give it to them, even though like one thing I'll say this is we don't do this with other players. Like we don't do this with stats with like LeBron or Steph or KD. So yeah, I agree. I'll give you that, but I just still don't think that. I think the Kobe comparison and the Kobe Shaq comparison should come later when it comes down to like championship. Like, look, if they get like 2, 3 championships, they're putting up the same numbers, then yeah, that's a conversation then. But like that's what I'm just saying
I can agree to
personally.
that, man. They're not
Yeah,
even in
no,
their
but
prime yet, but I agree to that, man. Championships really
exa-
matter.
exactly, like bro, they're like 25 and 26. They're still young. They're literally like my age. Like they're not even like they're still hella young. Like shit, like they have so much time. But yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, I like that we can agree that there's potential to have this conversation sometime down the line. I like that.
Oh yeah. You can't be an objective basketball fan and just not be open to the possibility of like there's gonna be a time where there's gonna be someone that's gonna break some record. And it could be your favorite player, your favorite teams. And like it's just kind of hard to accept sometimes, but like you
Hmm.
just gotta accept it. Like personally, like I feel like LeBron is a better overall basketball player than Kobe. But I
Mm.
still think when it comes down to it, when it
You're gonna
comes
be
down to
biased,
like
and I'll play.
You would have me go
no,
down,
no, when
take
it
the
comes
shot.
down to it, no, I still think I have LeBron 1 and Kobe second, personally. That,
That's
that's
They
fair.
all right.
That's fair. Fun.
because
AJ,
LeBron just you can't the things he's done. But yeah, I'm not gonna be that person. I don't want to start this conversation, but I think Michael Jordan's a little overrated than he gets credit for, but he's still really good. He's still a top 3 player. Like he's number 3. I don't think he's the GOAT. Now,
that's a spicy take, man. That is one spicy take. I'm gonna transition this damn like thing slightly. So I want to introduce a new trivia segment. So I'm gonna ask you guys a few questions, but not a few. I'm gonna ask you a question, and then I want both of your answers, and give you guys a correct answer after the fact.
All right.
So
Sounds good.
sounds good.
okay, so I'm gonna take it easy on you guys today. As of right now, who's the leader in assists per game in the NBA currently?
Oh, that's easy. Tyrese Halliburton. Done.
Yeah, I was gonna say anything. Ty's Halliburton.
Damn, you
When
got
talking to some friends.
Yeah. Just to put that out there, Marcus Smart is number 5 for assists per game, and he's
Yeah.
number 3 for total assists. Sorry,
damn.
had to leave a little home route me. Dude, I watch his stats
Yeah.
every day, man.
No, that's good. Just the reason I knew that is because I have Tyrese Halliburton on my fantasy, and he's been killing it for me. So shout
Monster,
out
man.
Tyrese.
Absolute
Shout out
monster.
Tyrese.
Oh shoot.
Can't wait
Is
to
it? That's
see.
right,
Can't
right?
wait to see him. Yeah, it should be.
Shaman?
Say what?
That was
That's
right,
right.
right?
No, yeah, that was 100% right.
Hey, man.
You guys were so quick. I was just as quick to confirm. So I'm gonna have to dial up the difficulty on these questions next time. You guys better be ready.
I look forward to it.
All right.
Cool.
For sure. For
Outro us,
sure.
bro. Outro us.
All right, man. Appreciate everyone for checking out and listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it. We're also available on every streaming platform. So if you're on Spotify and you have a friend that has Apple Podcasts or whatever, they can listen to us there as well. And we'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to check out our website. But by the way, we got our first sponsor. So if you guys want to go and help us out, go to gosugar.com. It'll help you with your gaming. Use code ECB15 for 15% off. So with that being said, peace out, guys, and take it easy. See you guys on the next pod.